So I want to show you guys how to measure cartridge overall length, or COL, C-O-A-L, and some people just call it OL, or overall length. What you'll need for this is one of these Hornady gauges, and then a specific shell that Hornady makes, and they sell these on Amazon, that screws in on the end here. You'll need a pair of calipers, and you'll need a cleaning rod. So for this demo, I'm going to just use an unmounted barrel, but for if you have your barrel mounted, which you probably will, you just take the upper off the lower and take the bolt out, the bolt carrier group, and then you just do what I'm going to show you with the barrel. I'm just going to use a barrel because it's easier to demo on just a barrel. So a lot of people will say that the overall cartridge length of a Grendel is limited by the magazine length. That's actually mostly or partially not true, and it really depends on your chamber. If you're using a SAMI chamber like that's produced by Alexander Arms, your bullet most bullets can't be loaded to the full mag length. The ogive or the ogive, however you pronounce it, of the bullet is actually going to run into the lands. The lands just means the beginning of the rifling, before it's going to run into the end of your magazine. So depending on what chamber you have, you need to, when you're getting into reloading, get a gauge so you can determine where your bullet actually engages the lands. This is a Grendel 2, so for the most part that is true in the fact that the Grendel 2, most bullets will be able to be loaded to the full magazine length. But as we have found out with our reloading project, that's loading them all the way to the mag length. It really isn't that advantageous. Just loading them to SAMI length tends to actually produce more accuracy. And I was wrong on that when the Grendel 2 was first announced. I thought loading them long would be more advantageous, leaving more room for powder. But as it turns out, it doesn't really leave enough room for powder to get more velocity to get up to the next accuracy node. So for the most part, for 123 grains, you're going to be loading them around SAMI length, which is around 2.245 to 2.255, right around there. So let me show you this. So you'll need a cleaning rod. You'll need this gauge, and basically what you're going to do with this gauge is, see this bullet is loose in there, and this rod here pushes up into the bullet. So what you're going to do is you're going to insert the bullet into the chamber, and then you're going to push in with the rod. You're not going to jam it in, you're just going to make sure it's snug in there, and then you're going to tighten the screw up, and then you're going to nudge it out with a cleaning rod. So then you want to make sure that's lined up. So then you're going to take your calipers and you're going to measure the overall length of the cartridge. In this case it's 2.317, and this is a 120 grain nozzle or ballistic tip. So because the bullets are going to be different, each tipped bullet is going to be slightly different. You're going to take your one bullet you just measure it multiple times, write down each setting or each measurement, and then average them together. Now, each time you do a measurement, and maybe use 10 different bullets and measure them 5 times, and then average it together, and you're going to get an idea of where your bullet touches the lands. You're going to get an idea of how much bullet jump the bullet's actually going to have. But one piece of advice: if you have a 264 LBC or a Grendel 2, don't make the mistake a lot of us made when we first got in the cartridge and think we needed to load long or get as close to lands as we could. We found out the hard way just by shooting that that's not the case. That you don't have to be near the lands to get an accurate load. And that's kind of the conventional wisdom out there, but the actual range results don't show that at all. That there seems to be a point in depth where your bullet is in the, how far it is in the brass, that seems to have more determining factor than by how close it is to the lands. And you guys that have been shooting a lot and experimenting with this can attest to that. It just doesn't seem to have that big of effect, is what I'm saying. Powders that tend to enable a longer jump from just our data looking at it tend to be 8208 AR comp and 8208 XBR and AR comp. So if you have a long jump to the lands, try those powders first, but see if E223 also seems to work well. So that's my advice for that.